So, how does a philosophical debate on an ancient battlefield, of all places, continue to shape millions of lives today? I mean, from Mahatma Gandhi all the way to the yoga studio right down your street. Well, let's dive right into this amazing story and connect one of Hinduism's most sacred texts to our world right now. Okay, so I want you to picture the scene. The air is just thick with tension on this battlefield, Kurukshetra. You've got two massive armies poised for war. But here's the thing, this isn't a fight against some foreign enemy. No, this is a civil war. We're talking cousins, friends, even beloved teachers, all pitted against each other over a kingdom. The fate of an entire generation is literally hanging in the balance. And right at the center of all of this is the legendary warrior Prince Arjuna. For him, this isn't just a battle. It's a completely unbearable moral crisis. He looks out, and what does he see? The faces of people he loves, people he respects. Think about it. To win, he has to kill his own family. But if he refuses to fight, he fails in his duty as a warrior. So what do you do when every single choice seems wrong? This is the very heart of the Bhagavad Gita. So let's really dig into this moment, because this is it. This is where a warrior's profound doubt becomes the foundation for one of the most timeless spiritual guides in the world. So, just as Arjuna's will begins to falter, his charioteer starts to speak. Now, this is no ordinary charioteer. It's actually the Lord Krishna in disguise. And the conversation that follows, this incredible dialogue between a soul in total despair and his divine guide, well, that becomes the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of the Lord. It's one of the most revered scriptures in the entire Hindu tradition. And this conversation, it's resonated for thousands of years. So what was the big secret? What did Krishna actually say to him? All right, let's get right to the core of his teaching. Okay, so Krishna's advice is, well, it's profound. He tells Arjuna, look, you have to act. You have to do your duty, your dharma. But, and this is the key, you have to do it without being attached to the results. You see, if you're only acting to get something, like victory or money, it's just going to lead to desire and frustration and suffering. But if you act just for the sake of doing the right thing, for duty itself, that's where you find peace. So the big takeaway is this: focus on the action, not what you get from the action. And believe me, this isn't just some abstract philosophy. For someone like Mahatma Gandhi, this idea was the absolute engine of his nonviolent resistance movement. He saw selfless action as both a political and a spiritual tool. His followers, they had to be willing to protest, to march, to face jail time or even violence, not because they were guaranteed to win tomorrow, but because it was their duty, their dharma, to stand up for what was right. And it was that very detachment from the outcome that gave the movement its incredible power and resilience. Now, these teachings on selfless action from the Gita, they're actually part of a much bigger picture, a larger framework of spiritual paths. So let's explore these different ways to what's called liberation. And the word for these paths is yoga. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but hold on. The original Sanskrit word, yuj, actually means to yoke. Like yoking an ox to a cart. So it's really about discipline. It's about binding yourself to a specific practice that ultimately leads to liberation or union with the divine. So the Gita lays out 4 main paths, which really shows you Hinduism's wonderfully pluralistic approach. You've got karma yoga, the path of action. There's bhakti yoga, the path of devotion. Then there's gnana yoga, the path of knowledge. And finally, raja yoga, the path of meditation. The idea is that there are different paths for different kinds of people. So, karma yoga, we've talked about that one. It's the path of selfless action, and Gandhi is the perfect example. Then you have bhakti yoga. This is the path of pure devotion. Think passionate poetry and chanting from saints like Mirabai, people who just dedicated their entire lives to a love for the divine. And then there's jnana yoga. Now, this isn't about book smarts or memorizing facts. It's the intellectual path, a search for a kind of deep transformative truth that actually liberates your soul. But wait a minute. What about the yoga that involves all the stretching and poses, the physical stuff we all know? Well, that brings us to the 4th path and the story of how it all evolved from the mind to the body. This is Raja Yoga, often called the royal yoga, and it's the path of meditation. Its main guidebook, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, puts it really simply. The goal is the cessation of mental fluctuations. Basically, it's about quieting all that constant chatter in your head. The idea is, if you can just get the mind to be still, you can finally see who you truly are, that calm, steady observer that's always there underneath it all. So, how do you get to that place of stillness? Well, Patanjali doesn't just leave you hanging. He lays out a whole systematic path. It's made up of 8 distinct stages, or limbs, that guide you on this royal road to inner peace. And here's something that might surprise a lot of modern yoga fans. The physical posture, the asana, is only the 3rd limb. It actually comes after you've established a foundation of moral principles and personal observances. The whole point of the posture was to create a stable, comfy seat so you could move on to the deeper stuff, breath control, withdrawing your senses, and finally meditation. So what about the class you might take down the street? Well, that's mostly Hatha Yoga, which is a tradition that came along centuries later. Its main focus on all the different postures, the asanas, was originally designed to make the body strong and flexible. Why? So you could sit comfortably in meditation for a really long time. The original goal was always to prep the body for the deep internal work of Raja Yoga. This ability to adapt and evolve is such a key theme here. So let's fast forward a bit and see how Hinduism has kept on transforming in the modern world. The last couple of centuries have brought just massive change. Back in the 19th century, you had the Hindu Renaissance, with reformers challenging old social practices, trying to modernize the faith, but still hold on to its philosophical heart. Then, after India gained independence in 1947, this huge national conversation about identity kicked off, a debate between secularism and Hindu nationalism that's still shaping the country today. And then, boom, in the 1960s, these ideas just exploded onto the global stage. You had movements like the Hare Krishnas bringing devotional bhakti yoga right to the streets of New York City. And as Hinduism has become a true world religion, it's been incredibly adaptable. It's fascinating, really. Temples in the West, for example, often hold Sunday services, kind of borrowing that model from their new cultural surroundings. They've become real community hubs, with language classes for kids and meditation workshops for adults. And then beyond the temple walls, you've got core ideas like karma and practices like yoga becoming part of our global culture. I mean, they're everywhere now, often totally separate from their spiritual roots, but still shaping how we think and how we live. So, there you have it. We've gone on this incredible journey, all the way from a warrior's doubt on an ancient battlefield, through philosophy, devotion, and meditation, right up to the globalized world we live in today. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other ancient ideas are out there, quietly shaping the way we see ourselves and our place in the universe right now?